HOA built a bridge across my ranch. It collapsed right as they tried to test it out. Imagine working your entire life to build something, only to have a group of self-important individuals decide they have the right to build over it, literally, without your permission. What would you do? The expansive, rolling hills of the Double Diamond Ranch were my sanctuary. The fresh mountain air, the sound of my cattle grazing, the rugged beauty of the landscape, it was all I'd ever known, and all I ever wanted. My family had worked this land for generations, raising award-winning Angus cattle and living off the grid as much as possible. Our property lines were clearly marked, encompassing a significant portion of the valley and the winding Coyote Creek. I, Caleb Stone, a rancher through and through, fiercely guarded my independence and my land. Then came Karen. Karen Vanderbilt, the newly elected, aggressively visionary president of the Whispering Pines Luxury Development, HOA. Her development, all sprawling mansions and manicured lawns, had crept up to the eastern edge of my property over the last 5 years. I was mending a fence near the creek when I saw it. A construction crew, already setting up concrete forms directly over my creek, on my land, with no prior notice. And there, directing them with a flourish of her perfectly manicured hand, was Karen, in a pristine white pantsuit, seemingly oblivious to the dust and dirt. "Mr. Stone," she announced, her voice echoing unnaturally across the valley, "we are commencing construction on the Willow Creek Promenade, a vital pedestrian bridge connecting the east and west sections of Whispering Pines. Your creek happens to be, shall we say, an inconvenience in our grand design. But rest assured, this will ultimately enhance the value of all properties, even yours. You'll simply need to adjust your cattle routes to accommodate the new structure." The main conflict, audacious and infuriating, was laid bare. Karen, armed with her subjective vision of luxury development and an utter disregard for private property rights, was literally building over my land, my creek, my livelihood, without a single word of discussion or permission. Her demands were not only illegal, but deeply insulting. Her attitude reeked of blatant entitlement, a self-appointed deity dictating that her grand plans superseded basic property law and the lives of those who had been there for generations. I tried to reason with her, my voice low and strained with suppressed fury. "Ms. Vanderbilt, you are on private land. This creek, this entire section, is part of the Double Diamond Ranch. You have no legal right to build anything here. This is trespassing and property damage." I even showed her laminated copies of my deeds, highlighting the clear property lines. Karen, however, merely waved a dismissive hand, as if shooing away a fly. "Mr. Stone, property lines are fluid when they obstruct progress. We've consulted our lawyers. Adverse possession and eminent domain are quite powerful tools. And frankly, your ranch is holding back the modern amenities our residents deserve. You have 24 hours to clear any obstructions from the construction zone, or we will remove them, and you'll be billed for the effort." Her tone was condescending, her eyes holding a glint of perverse pleasure, as if she reveled in her perceived power to dictate even to a proud rancher on his own land. The construction continued, bulldozers tearing through my creek banks despite my protestations and legal threats. Karen openly mocked me in HOA newsletters, calling me an obstructionist and anti-progress. Then, her pettiness escalated to an appalling act of sabotage. One evening, under the cloak of darkness, Karen herself, with 2 of her hired goons, secretly approached the half-finished bridge. They didn't just vandalize it. They meticulously weakened crucial support pylons, using a high-powered cutting tool to sever rebar and compromise structural integrity, all designed to ensure the bridge would fail under stress. Their goal was to then blame my cattle crossing or farm equipment for the collapse, discrediting me further. Right after discovering the weakened pylons, a crucial twist unfolded from an unexpected source. My ranch hand, Miguel, a quiet man who spent his evenings setting up motion-activated cameras to track elusive deer, noticed unusual activity near the creek. He rushed over, his face grim. "Caleb, someone was messing with the bridge last night. I thought it was coyotes at first, but then I saw 2 people, and her. They were cutting something." His thermal camera footage, though grainy, clearly showed Karen and 2 men actively tampering with the bridge supports, sparks flying from a cutting tool, her distinct figure illuminated by the work lights. The timestamp was undeniable. The larger consequence of Karen's actions became terrifyingly clear. The Willow Creek Promenade Bridge wasn't just for residents. It was slated to be part of a major regional emergency evacuation route for the entire valley in case of wildfire. A mock disaster drill, involving local fire and rescue teams, was scheduled for the very next day, with the bridge serving as a critical escape path. Her deliberate weakening of the bridge wasn't just a petty act of vandalism. It directly jeopardized the lives of thousands of people in the event of a real emergency. Her personal vendetta was now a direct threat to public safety on a massive scale, escalating my personal grievance to a matter of profound civic and life-saving importance. Armed with Miguel's irrefutable thermal footage, the full support of the furious fire and rescue chiefs, and my own burning desire for justice, I called an emergency town hall meeting, inviting every single resident of Whispering Pines and every rancher in the valley. The room was packed, buzzing with nervous energy. Karen, radiating confidence, arrived late, flanked by her smirking HOA lawyers, clearly believing this was just another nuisance to be dealt with. "Mr. Stone," she purred, taking the stage, "I trust you've assembled everyone to apologize for your disruptive behavior and to finally agree to our terms regarding the bridge." She smiled, a predatory gleam in her eyes. "No, Karen," I retorted, my voice steady and unwavering. "I've assembled everyone to expose your criminal acts and your shocking disregard for the lives of every single person in this valley." I projected Miguel's thermal footage onto the large screen. The room erupted in shocked murmurs as Karen's direct involvement in weakening the bridge supports, her malicious intent, and the sparks from the cutting tool were revealed. Karen's face contorted in disbelief, then pure, unadulterated rage. "That's manipulated. That man is a criminal. He's trespassing. This is a malicious attack on my character and the HOA's integrity," she shrieked, desperately trying to manipulate the situation, her voice shrill and breaking. She pointed at Miguel, openly accusing him of being a saboteur. Just as her tirade reached its peak, the doors to the community center swung open, and strode not just Sheriff Ramirez, but also a stern-faced representative from the State Department of Transportation, DOT, and, surprisingly, the chief of the State Fire Marshal's office, looking absolutely furious. The State Fire Marshal spoke first, his voice booming with authority. "Ms. Vanderbilt, your deliberate sabotage of this bridge has created an extreme public safety hazard. You jeopardized a critical emergency evacuation route. This is a felony, and we will be pursuing charges." The DOT representative stepped forward. "And Ms. Vanderbilt, we've also been investigating reports of widespread fraudulent zoning changes and illegal construction practices within the Whispering Pines development. Specifically, several common areas and even portions of state-owned land appear to have been illegally annexed and built upon without proper permits, funneling millions of dollars into shell companies. Your name, Ms. Vanderbilt, has appeared on every single one of those transactions." A nervous murmur rippled through the room as an HOA architect, a timid man who had looked terrified for weeks, stammered to Sheriff Ramirez. She forced us to forge permits. She said it was fast-tracking the development. We had no idea the money was going to her family offshore." It was a chilling revelation. Karen wasn't just a control freak. She was systematically using her HOA power to illegally expand the development, seize public and private land, and funnel millions into her own pockets through fraudulent construction contracts. The bridge was just one piece of a much larger criminal land grab. A past incident, whispered among the older residents, revealed that Karen had previously faced a grand jury investigation in another state for a similar land development scheme that ultimately led to several public parklands being illegally privatized. The consequences for Karen Vanderbilt were immediate and utterly devastating. She was arrested by Sheriff Ramirez on multiple charges, including felony vandalism, reckless endangerment, and later, as the full extent of the fraud was uncovered, for massive embezzlement, wire fraud, racketeering, and environmental crimes related to illegal construction on protected wetlands. The Whispering Pines HOA was placed under immediate state and federal investigation, its assets frozen, and a full forensic audit exposed tens of millions in stolen funds. a systematic scheme orchestrated by Karen and her network. Her carefully cultivated image as the benevolent community visionary shattered into irreparable pieces. The residents she had once intimidated now turned on her, furious at being manipulated, their property values plummeting due to the scandal. Her social circles, built on an illusion of wealth and influence, abandoned her completely, unwilling to be associated with such public disgrace. Her vast real estate holdings, her fortune, her status, her perceived power all confiscated as part of the ongoing investigation and subsequent lawsuits. She lost everything: her freedom, her fortune, and her reputation. The ultimate irony was that her audacious attempt to build over my ranch led to the complete unraveling of her vast, illegal enterprise. As for the bridge, the next day, the mock disaster drill commenced as scheduled. With Sheriff Ramirez and Fire Chief Miller overseeing, they cautiously sent the first emergency vehicle onto the bridge to test it. Just as it reached the midpoint, a loud groan ripped through the structure, followed by a terrifying creak. The section Karen had sabotaged gave way, sending a large portion of the bridge collapsing into the creek with a mighty splash, narrowly missing the emergency vehicle. The drill turned into a real-life near-disaster, vividly demonstrating the extent of Karen's malice to the entire community and the media. The footage of the collapse went viral, cementing her public disgrace. My ranch, however, remained untouched, a beacon of resilience. I felt a deep sense of satisfaction, a quiet triumph of enduring tradition and integrity over rampant greed and reckless disregard. What's your take on this? When someone's arrogance and greed lead them to endanger an entire community for personal gain, does their complete downfall truly serve justice? Or is there a point where the consequences become too extreme?